Hi, everyone. We're so excited you're here. So let's jump right in. By way of introduction, I'm Heidi Sachs, Product Marketing Manager at CB4. CB4 builds simple, revolutionary solutions that make the in-store experience easier and more rewarding for store teams and their shoppers. We send on-time, location-specific, product-level recommendations each week at the speed stores need them to generate new revenue. Today, we're talking with Todd Swanson, Regional Director and North American Retail Operations Director at Urban Outfitters. Urban Outfitters, or UO, is a lifestyle retailer that inspires customers through a unique combination of product creativity and cultural understanding. Founded in 1970, Urban Outfitters operates over 200 stores in the US, Canada, and Europe. And it's one of a portfolio of global consumer brands, URBN, which includes Anthropologie and Free People, amongst others. It's such a pleasure to have you with us. Todd and I are also joined by CB4 Senior Customer Success Manager, Eric Stocker, who works closely with Todd and his team. Thanks for joining us, Eric. Today, we're talking about how Urban Outfitters is using CB4 to sell more in store. So let's get down to it. First things first. I'd love to hear about the problem Urban Outfitters identified that prompted you to seek out CB4.
Our mindset was this: with the rising cost of labor and being a productivity-minded organization, how can we get more out of any activity we invest in? We already had a wide array of reporting tools that told us how stores were performing by velocity, styles, class, division, any way you want to cut it. The challenge was having so much information at your fingertips, but just also a lot of demands on our time. Basically, it was just inefficient to identify and address sales opportunities. Our stores are budgeted a certain amount of time on what we call admin, which is, analyzing reports is just one of the many office-based tasks they complete during their allotted admin time. So a tool that maximizes the return on their finite investment of time into identifying and addressing sales opportunities sounded very appealing. Speaking just for Urban, our stores are very diverse in everything from size to layout to fixture assortment to resource allocation. And there's lots of products competing for space, both branded and private label. So better forecasting and visibility to what product in our inventory has the greatest sales upside creates an amazing shortcut for the store teams. There's also only so many spots on a fixture, or so many places on a rail, or so many forms to outfit. One other challenge for all retailers is the space being dynamic, with shoppers moving in and out all day, engaging with the product. So stores are constantly working to maintain presentations and ensure good size integrity. We also like to empower the local team to be entrepreneurial and make the best decisions for their store and their business. As we learned more about CB4, it became apparent that this solution would, in less time, identify the greatest item-specific sales opportunities in each store and then help our teams quickly capture them. The appeal was that it was about getting more and less about adding resources and manpower, which we liked. We also liked that it had a short learning curve and that the results were supposed to come in quickly.
We really want to dig into the results you're seeing in just a minute. But first, I do want to talk a little bit about something that I know other retailers will really relate to, because it's something you all experienced in some way. You started using CB4 in late 2019 and were seeing successes. And then March 2020, COVID-19 happened. Maybe you could tell us at a high level what the experience of closing and reopening your stores was like, and then how your experience using CB4 has changed since you reopened.
Well, I think like everyone, Urban Outfitters had to be agile and pivot in many different ways, to adjust to the ever-evolving challenge that COVID's presented to us and continues to. I think we as a brand have learned a lot and adapted a lot and will continue to do so as we weather the rest of the pandemic. So without getting into too many specifics and just looking ahead at the rest of the year, I think we'll be cautious but nimble and ready to react appropriately to however the North American retail environment develops this year. In terms of CB4, I'll say that with so many demands on our time, including some we never had to cope with before, tools that allow us to cut through the noise are more appreciated than ever. More specifically, since we can't always predict what will sell best, we sometimes experience time frames with certain products where you own less units than you could sell. And CB4 is perfect in those instances because it helps you leverage all of the on-hand inventory for the styles with the highest upside.
Thanks, Todd. I love hearing that CB4's recommendations have played a role in helping your team prioritize what matters through challenging times. And in terms of the recommendations you're getting, are they the same types of opportunities that you'd uncover with other reporting tools or solutions your team was using, or are they something new?
There's definitely been some recommendations that would not show up on our radar, or at least not for the reasons we'd expect. Take this recommendation that we'll be sharing on screen that one of our stores received recently. It was a specific graphic tee style that wasn't a velocity item at the time. Our graphic tee class has one of our broadest assortments. So to be honest, brand wise, we probably wouldn't have been laser focused on this particular style. But because CB4 brought this style to our attention in this store, the team moved the t-shirt to a more visible side of the fixture next to a similar t-shirt, and also faced the t-shirt out up on the upper display, all of which greatly increased the likelihood a customer would see it. And then as a result, the sales of this tee in this particular store increased by over 100% with $200 in extra revenue just for spending a few minutes making a quick fix. Later CB4 shared the logic behind that recommendation, which is essentially that an intimate style and a beauty SKU were selling in a certain way across the chain, which triggered a notification for the graphic tee at this store. And it became obvious the naked eye or even other reporting tools would not have connected the dots between the data in such a way.
So you get this recommendation for something like this graphic tee. Can you talk us through how your team responds to the recommendations in order to capture sales opportunities?
Sure. About 40% of the time, our stores could capture selling opportunities by just resetting or enhancing the way the product is displayed or presented. As CB4 identifies product like that tee that aren't getting top billing, but have a higher likelihood of selling better if they did, we're given the opportunity to readdress some of those items that have less than ideal merchandising. We empower our employees at the store to figure out how to make sure a specific style or color offering that's in high demand is prominently placed on the sales floor. It may be as simple as unlayering something or moving it to the front of the face out so the shopper can see it more easily. Or sometimes it's taking an item that was underperforming and featuring it on an adjacent form or styling it in a way that the local customer can appreciate. CB4 helps us identify the product, and then we allow our employees' creativity to shine in making sure each item is maximizing its sales potential. And it's pretty cool to show the store teams the additional revenue made by their decisions and their actions. Then about 50% of the time, the problem was caused by missing sizes, product left in the stock room, or product just being totally out of stock. In terms of allocation and replenishment, CB4 helps us identify when size is not being present is what's holding back the sales. It forces us to go and see what opportunities we have. We generally like to think we're allocating full size runs and all the sizing that we need. But once items sell, we need to restock and re-merchandise and make sure the size integrity stays on all those styles. Things are changing every day and we have to keep up with what's happening on the sales floor.
So you've got a mix of different things happening at every store, and a lot of the time you can jump on an opportunity to sell more by making a visual switch, but sometimes it's stock related. That's anything from sizes missing on the floor, as you said, to a product just being out of stock. What can users in your stores do when that happens to recoup lost sales?
Well, I think because of bandwidth, field to home office communication around item-specific assortment opportunities within a store are reserved for the most acute issues. Otherwise, we count on our allocation teams' analysis and judgment and the replenishment software to maintain each store's optimum inventory. And even when we do discover opportunities, the impact of inventory adjustments are not always as immediate as we'd like them to be, just due to logistical realities. So having another tool that makes sure each store team is getting the biggest bang for their buck for every unit already in the inventory as immediately as possible is huge. It just goes back to that classic retail acronym SWAT, sell what's available today.
We've actually seen the number of stock recommendations decrease over time, which to your point is exactly what we like to see. Based on the opportunities your team has been able to capture responding to CB4 recommendations, are you seeing any changes in the stores?
What we're seeing in the stores in terms of overall changes linked to CB4 are just, how simple actions can result in a sales lift. And the good thing about it is it doesn't always require the store merchandiser or the highest level decision maker to act. The recommendations are pretty straightforward and folks on different levels can impact the business, which has been really useful. And the fixes don't usually require heavy lifting, like having to re-merchandise the whole shop. We're also finding that our team likes CB4, and they don't have to be convinced to use it. The response rate, the percentage of recommendations stores responded to is 83%. They're actively engaging with CB4. The hit rate's also strong at 84%, meaning that of the recommendations responded to, 84% uncovered a real merchandising opportunity to drive extra revenue.
Awesome. We love hearing that store teams like CB4. Working in retail isn't easy, and we designed the app with them in mind. So your stores are seeing benefits from using CB4. I'd love to hear a little bit also about the upstream benefits. In terms of recommendations, has your corporate team uncovered anything interesting on a broad scale while using CB4?
Yeah, I can think of one. I mean, we were hoping that CB4 would help us out with recommendations for our apparel and intimates divisions. And right off the bat, we were pleased that CB4's algorithms agreed. In other words, the majority of the opportunities CB4 uncovers for us are in the apparel and intimates categories.
It is great to hear about the successes of the recommendations. I did want to change gears and talk a little bit about your onboarding process. As you know, retailers have a lot on their plate, especially right now. They're really looking for a solution that is quick, up and running, and drive immediate results. Can you share with us your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. We've worked closely with CB4's customer success team from the pilot phase through the full rollout. You, Eric, partner with us as our senior customer success manager, and you and I collaborate to keep CB4 up and running in the UO stores and make sure adoption stays on point. We also work with Michael, who is our senior insights manager from CB4, who partners with our IT department. I mean, I'd say the bottom line is that it's not just about, hey, we'll give you a solution. It's been a true partnership from the top to understanding the learning CB4 is generating, then down to the bottom. The rollout didn't generate a ton of questions. We didn't get many panicked emails or phone calls of people not being able to figure it out. And now that we've been going strong for over a year, albeit a slight interrupted one, stores feel good about CB4. They get relevant, actionable recs most of the time. And even with all of the things they have to do, now more than ever, they still see the value of CB4 and seem to enjoy doing it.
It's awesome to hear that Urban Outfitters is finding it easy to incorporate CB4 into their weekly operations. As I mentioned at the top, we're just so excited about working with Urban Outfitters. Thank you so much for making the time to meet with us today, Todd, and giving other retailers a glimpse behind the scenes at Urban Outfitters. If you want to learn more about CB4 or hear about how any of our other partners are winning with the solution, head to cb4.com or get in touch with us by emailing us at hello@cb4.com.